Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
This is a catastrophe.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
That's what I wished for when I blew out my candle.
Locking down the middle of the day. Live from the Raising Cane studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
The floor is yours.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Raising Cane studio downtown in the capital city on this Wednesday. About half the work week in the mirror. We're brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools. LSU basketball on the hardwood in Nashville right now. Kentucky leads the Tigers 64-62 as they play on in the second half. We'll react to this one when it goes final. LSU season will be over, or they will probably live to play another day. But we'll talk about it when it goes final. Saints made more moves after we finished up yesterday. Kaden Elliss headed back to New Orleans. We'll discuss that in 15 minutes. It's What If Wednesday. If you got some of those, want to hit us up with those, you can at 1:30. Mark DeRosa made some interesting comments yesterday. We'll just briefly get into that at the end of the hour. Koki Riley at 2 o'clock talking baseball. And we'll do our SEC Baseball Power Rankings coming up at 2:30. So as you can tell, plenty to do on this Wednesday. Let's crank it up the way we do every day with our opening drive.
Welcome to the big league.
It's time for Hunt's Opening Drive. Presented by Fabry Chevrolet GMC in St. Francisville.
So LSU played baseball last night, and they beat Creighton 8-4. And I watched it, and I wrote about it, and I'm going to talk about it. And it's conflicting. It is. Because I can do this segment two different ways. And I'm going to do it two different ways. And I'll let you kind of be the judge as to which one sounds more apt to you. I'll start with the glass is half empty here. This is a championship-level baseball program. They have not played good baseball for 2 weeks. You came out in the first 3 innings where you have been outscored 16-0 in your losses last week, and you were immediately down 4-1 again. So you got off to a bad start. Well, how'd you get off to the bad start? Well, in the second and third innings combined, you walked 4 guys, you hit another one, you threw 2 wild pitches, you made an error, and you had a 2-run error taken off the board by a very, very close review. That's 2 innings of baseball. 4 walks, hit by pitch, 2 wild pitches, an error, and another error that was taken off the board. Then you get your best hitters to the plate with the runner on second and third and 1 out, and Jake Brown strikes out. Seth Dardar follows up. He strikes out. Zach York, in a tight game, sees a double hit down the line in left field and runs right into the first out of the inning. Your first 2 runs of this game were gifts. Stephen Milan's at the plate. He pops up just in front of home plate. Catcher drops it. He flares the ball into right center field to plate the first run. But he never gets that chance if the Creighton catcher just catches a pop-up. And then your second run, with 2 outs, there's a shift on. Jake Brown hits it to the right side, and Creighton can't field a ground ball. So you get gifted that run. And you're talking about a Creighton team that was 5-7. Not a very good team. And all this stuff you did wrong. Very, very unclean way to play baseball. And were it not for a diving catch by Stephen Milam and a diving catch by Derek Curiel, it could have been worse. It would have been worse. So that's the negative side of this. And that was all real. If I want to pour that glass and say, that's half full, I can do that too. You did win the game. That's good. You won the game by 4 runs. That's good. Maverick Rizzi, Devin Sheeran, and Santiago Garcia combined to throw 6 2/3 innings of shutout baseball, 4 hits, 9 strikeouts, 1 walk. That's very good. Zach York got a couple of hits. Omar Cerna hit a ball 455 feet for a grand slam. Jake Brown hit another home run. I mentioned on the negative side that you'd have been in worse trouble if Stephen Milam didn't make a diving catch in the second inning and Derek Curiel didn't make a diving catch on the track full speed ahead in a different inning. But guess what? At those 2 premium positions, you've got really good defensive players. And they made really good defensive plays. Your pitching for the course of 9 innings only gave up 1 extra base hit. So you be the judge. Like, which of those is more apt in your view as a listener? I'll tell you that to me, I'm going to lean toward the positive. I'm going to acknowledge the negative. I started with the negative. I think it's ridiculous that LSU commits as many throwing errors as they do on the infield. I think it's ridiculous that the catchers struggle to throw the ball to first base. I think it's ridiculous that they keep throwing pickoff throws into the bullpen. I just think it's ridiculous. I mentioned it yesterday. I got 5 tweets about it after it happened. Reagan Ricken is throwing over time and time and time again in the second inning of a Tuesday game against Creighton. Throw a pitch. What are we doing? You don't need to throw 9 pickoff throws over there. This just in. The first baseman doesn't move awesome. If we throw one that's a little bit errant, it's probably going to be an extra base. And it happens 4 times a week. I think all that's ridiculous. But I saw some good stuff last night. Devin Sheeran's really good. And that's a really important piece to your roster. To have a 6'4", 250-pound, flame-throwing right-hander who's throwing it over the plate, who's snapping off sliders, who's challenging guys at the letters, who's getting strikeouts, who's showing some emotion, who's stemmed the tide of this game. His coming into the game and throwing those 2 1/3 innings and putting the zeros on the board when LSU was trailing helped change this thing, and so did his emotion coming off the mound. I'd rather not have to use my A reliever in the middle innings of a Tuesday game against Creighton, but he looked awesome. And I will tell you this, you can fake a good pitching line. You can fake one. You can throw meatballs. You can have line drives hit straight at people. You can have guys foul off hanging changeups. You can fake a good pitching line. Sometimes those good pitching lines are reflected in what you saw on the mound. What you saw from Santiago Garcia last night, that's the guy they brought here. And that was legit stuff. What Santiago Garcia looked like for most of his outing yesterday would have looked just fine on a major league diamond. Left-handed, smooth release, 94-95, challenge fastballs, good breaking balls, throwing it for strike 3, throwing it for strike 1. It looked really good. This is the guy that became Oregon's essentially highest leverage lefty last year down the stretch. This is the guy they brought in to be a key bullpen piece, and he didn't have a great first outing. He couldn't throw it over the plate, but he started to ease in and get a little bit more comfortable in this new uniform here in a little bit of a bigger stage, and what you saw last night was dude-level stuff. When he got that fastball, I tweeted about it, when he got that strikeout with back-to-back fastballs, 94, 95 at the knees in the zone, you get swings and miss with your fastball, you're doing things right. And he looked awesome. So when you consider the trust level that you've got in Sheeran, the trust level that I'm developing with what I saw from Garcia last night, you feel pretty good with Gavin Guidry on the mound. Maverick Rizzi wasn't awesome last night, but he did make some good pitches and has made some good pitches this year. You're starting to find that the front part of this bullpen emerging. I was really comfortable with what Ethan Plog had done in his last 2 outings. Last night, he wasn't as good, an inning and a third. He wasn't as good because he walked 2 guys. He didn't give up any hits, but he walked 2 guys. And that's what you can't do. And some of the misses were big. But the stuff is really good if he could just hone it in. And for LSU to trot out in the middle innings of this game, Plog and Garcia, which was toward the back end, 2 left-handed pitchers who are not freshmen, who are in their 20s, who throw 94, 95 miles an hour and have plus breaking balls, that is something to build on. That is something to put in your back pocket. They're not the A relievers, because that's Sheeran and that's Guidry right now, but they are the A lefties. And as Jay Johnson said yesterday after the game, like, these are the guys I'm going to use a couple times in a week. So for LSU last night, you're facing Creighton, but you got 9 hits. You scored 8 runs in 8 innings. You hit a couple of home runs. It wasn't great. You had some lapses of execution. 4 extra base hits, 6 walks is okay. It wasn't a work of art, but it was a step in the right direction. The way I kind of wrap this thing up, and you kind of heard me start it that way and then finish it one way, is that the first 4 innings were terrible. LSU was terrible for 4 innings in this game. LSU was very good for 5 innings in this game. In the last 5 innings, you outscored them 6-0. Your relievers threw strikes. You hit the ball out of the ballpark, created some offensive pressure. The defense was fairly clean. Like, okay. Like Omar Cerna threw a ball into the back of a runner. Omar Cerna threw a stolen base attempt into center field. He's your backup catcher, and he's got to learn to play defense, and he's not quite there yet. Your other error was, a freshman pitcher throwing a pickoff throw. Again, it's not your third baseman. It's not your shortstop. It's not your center fielder. Wasn't even second base. It's not the positions I expect to see errors from. It's the guys in ancillary positions that are throwing the ball all over the place. And that's frustrating to watch. I get it. I don't want to watch it either. It's no fun to watch those first 4 innings. Walks, errors, strikeouts on your end offensively. It was an ugly beginning to the game, but they found it in the last 5 innings, and that's what you hope. They're just not playing well, but they can. It's in there. I've seen it in the first 2 weeks. I see it in spurts, and now you get your starting rotation back out there against Vanderbilt, and as I told you yesterday, entering this game, if they win 3 of the next 4, we're just not going to worry that much about the last week and a half of non-conference play. If you can win 3 out of 4. Even if you'd have lost to Creighton, if you swept Vanderbilt, you'd wave it off. Now that you've beaten Creighton, you can go win 2 out of 3 in Nashville. All of a sudden, I think the blood pressure will lower around here with the fan base. I get it. I like the passion. I'm glad people are ticked off on a Tuesday. But they did go out there and finish the game with the win. They went 8-4. Saw some good things. I like what I've seen on the mound. And right now, it stands to reason that LSU probably has a pretty good pitching staff. By the way, they're leading the SEC in strikeouts right now. I'll get to it in power rankings. No SEC pitching staff has struck out more guys than LSU. That's a testament to the stuff that they've got, and that's what you're going to lean on with this team. You've got to find some offense, and they'll continue to cycle through some guys. Maybe Eddie Yaman gets some more playing time. He just hitting the ball hard out of nowhere. But they got to win, which is an important thing. Now you move on to conference play with Vanderbilt. LSU practices today. They will they'll travel tomorrow to Nashville, and then they will play on Friday, 6 o'clock Central Time, over there from the Hawk in Nashville. Score update from Nashville in basketball. Kentucky 73, LSU 65. So Kentucky opened up an 8-point lead here in the first round of the SEC tournament, first game of the SEC tournament. It looks like 8.5 minutes to go in that game. Keep you posted on it as we move forward here on this Wednesday. Come back. Saints made a move they had to make. Brought in an old friend. We'll talk about it next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Lifetime Roofing. LifetimeRoofingLA.com. LifetimeRoofingLA.com. Baton Rouge-based roofing company, but they can service the entire state of Louisiana plus Houston and the Texas area. I tell you about Lifetime Roofing all the time, about their great financing options, 0% for 18 months. You can finance a deductible as well. And I tell you about their lifetime workmanship warranty every single day because they're happy and proud to offer that to you, covering the workmanship as well as the materials. But what I haven't told you as much about, because it's fairly new, but they're thrilled about this new department here, is if you're looking for gutters, they can do it at Lifetime Roofing. If you're looking for siding or windows, they can do it at Lifetime Roofing. Give them a call. If you're looking for the whole deal, they're happy to help you out with that as well. New roof, new siding, new windows, new gutters. Lifetime Roofing can do it all with those financing guarantees. Anywhere in the state of Louisiana, you can start your process online at LifetimeRoofingLA.com. That's LifetimeRoofingLA.com.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools.
Multi-platinum Grammy-winning superstar Zach Bryan is coming to Tiger Stadium Saturday, March 28th for the Death Valley Live Stadium Series. And 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge is going to hook you up with free tickets. Register now at 104.5ESPN.com for your chance to win.
Talk some baseball with Koki Riley coming up in 45 minutes. What If Wednesday coming your way in 15 minutes. If you got a what if, hit me up on YouTube or on Twitter at HuntPalmer88, and we'll get to the best ones coming up in 15 minutes, as we mentioned. After we came off the air yesterday, the New Orleans Saints made their latest move in free agency, reuniting with a former Saint. Kaden Elliss comes over from the Atlanta Falcons, rejoining the black and gold. And this is a move, quite frankly, that New Orleans had to make. You look at the situation post-Demario Davis, and yes, you have Pete Werner, who played 17 games for you last year and is a nice player. Not going to make a Pro Bowl anytime soon in my estimation, but he's functional and has been in Brandon Staley's defense and can certainly play his position. But you leave a massive hole in the middle of your defense, not just in terms of leadership, but in production. And you do have other options to plug in there, but they're just that they're options. They're certainly not proven commodities. Danny Stutzman is the first name that comes to everybody's mind, right? Because he played 13 games as a rookie last year, played 204 defensive snaps, 186 of those, according to Pro Football Focus, were as an inside-the-box linebacker. His grades were pretty good. 71.1 on defense, 74.5 against the run, 59.5 tackling, 56.6 pass rush, 62.7 in coverage. A fine effort on defense, and I think there's reason to believe that Danny Stutzman has a real future as an impact starter for New Orleans. That's the hope. But you don't know that as of this very second, and you're moving on from a guy who just set a career high in tackles in his 432nd year in the league. So you gotta fill those shoes. And I don't know that Jalen Ford or Isaiah Stallbird are realistic options to plug that need. Ford played 17 games last year, but only 7 defensive snaps. He was a special teams guy. Stallbird has shown some flashes in camp and preseason in some spot duty on the field on defense, but you need a veteran in there to come make some tackles in the middle of your defense. And so you go get Kaden Elliss, and Kaden Elliss gives you two things very, very obviously just looking at the statistics. Kaden Elliss gives you durability, not unlike Demario Davis. He's played in 17 games 3 straight years. He's made over 107 tackles in 3 straight years. This past year, he made 107 tackles. His Pro Football Focus grades aren't going to wow anybody. Talking about 67.8 on defense, 56.9 against the run, a 60.1 in tackling, and then pass rush, 83.6. But he's 30 years old. He plays 17 games a year. He makes 100 tackles a year. This is Demario Davis's replacement here in Kaden Elliss. You want to suggest he's younger, he's got more years into his left in his legs, he is more cost effective. All those things are fine. You want to argue he's a step down, he's not Demario. You can say that as well. The fact of the matter is that the Saints could not, in good conscience, go to a training camp with Demario Davis's replacement being Danny Stutzman or Isaiah Stallbird and feel like you have adequately given your defense the best chance to be best. If Stutzman comes out in training camp and preseason and plays lights out and takes that step as a second-year player and he becomes a starter, awesome. Like, that's perfect. That's a great scenario. He's a middle-round draft pick on a rookie deal. Absolutely. If for some reason Jalen Ford or Isaiah Stallbird makes some shocking leap, great. Like, I'm not suggesting they can't play, but you needed a realistic option, one that doesn't involve significant optimism or some significant development. And Kaden Elliss offers that. He will come in, he will play in the middle of the defense, he will play next to Pete Werner, and he will be a productive player unless somebody who's younger comes in and beats him out. And let's be clear, I don't anticipate that happening. I think this allows you to move those younger players along, and I don't think it completely disqualifies you from taking Sonny Styles in the first round. If you feel like you've got a potential Pro Bowler, all-pro caliber player that you can get right there at 8, you got 3-4 linebacker spots to play in, depending on what current alignment you're in. Make your team better. Go do it. I think signing ATN probably precludes you from going to get Jeremiah Love at running back. At linebacker, this is just good sense to go get a veteran hole filler to make sure that you don't have to deal with someone who has not played the position. And if you want to draft somebody who's an immense talent behind them, I think that's fantastic. Brandon Staley proved himself last year as a guy who's moving this thing in the right direction on defense. Dennis Allen did a great job with New Orleans on defense for a very long time. That spanned from his time as a defensive coordinator into his time as a head coach. Now, briefly on that front, but into his time as a head coach. And then guys got older, and who knows what was going on in the locker room, and the roster deteriorated, and it fell apart. And when Brandon Staley got to New Orleans, that defense was a shell of what it once was under Dennis Allen, with Cam Jordan in his prime and Marshawn Lattimore on one corner and Paulson Adebo on another corner, and some of the guys that you had in the middle of that defense, DeMario in his prime, obviously. There was a time there where the Saints, no one ever ran for 100 yards on them. But that slowly deteriorated, and you became one of the worst run defenses in the NFL. And the cornerbacks that you had leaned on so heavily in your time and bringing in Tyron, like those guys had all aged out. And it fell apart. And Brandon Staley put it back together last year. Yes, at the end of the season, against bad teams, I understand. But they are NFL teams. And I thought the way that the Saints played down the stretch, if you look at the last 8 games of the season, you were essentially a top 10 defense in the NFL. But you're going to have to replace some guys that were a part of that. And you had some significant needs after immediately looking up and DeMario Davis is gone and Alontae Taylor is gone. And so for the Saints to go get Kaden Elliss, who brings you 2 very, very valuable things, durability and production, that's a great addition that I don't think significantly alters the rest of the offseason. But not doing something in that spot would have been negligence in my estimation. It was not. I am on board with just about everything the Saints have done this week. I will listen to a case that you paid too much money for Etienne based on his age. I might push back on it, not hard, but maybe. But that's the only real downside I can see from what they've done. And this is a time for optimism. That's what offseason is for. No one's losing games. Everybody's got this diamond in the rough they found, or sign a star that's going to be a Pro Bowler, or this draft pick's going to be the best player on the. I get what time of year we're in, but this is another quality move to shore things up on defense, to make things solid. And that's what you need out of your defense, because I think there's a chance the offense could pop this year. Year 2 under Kellen Moore, year 2 under Tyler Shuck, adding new weapons. I think it could pop. You need to make sure your defense can hold up inside of the bargain. Kaden Elliss is a really nice step in that direction. To me, I think another very, very good move for New Orleans. Jordan, what you think?
I think it's great, man. I ain't gonna say I was hurt when he left for the Falcons. It was more going to the Falcons, but I definitely understand why you go get a guy like this. But also what people forget, what Kaden Elliss brings to the Saints, not only is he's a pass rusher. Well, he's a linebacker, but he pass rushes a lot. When he was on the Saints, he would blitz a lot, and he was a very effective blitzer, something DeMario Davis did a lot too. So it's kind of like a seamless fit. It's not the same system because Dennis Allen was the DC when his time was here. But I think you at this price and this type of guy with this type of production and this at his age, I mean, you can't miss. Like, you cannot miss with this, and it's a seamless fit, especially with him being a captain for the Falcons, and just that. You go to the Falcons and then come back to the Saints. Like that little, that's what I like the most about it.
The pettiness is real. But to your point, that pass rush grade in New Orleans, in Atlanta without Dennis Allen, 83.6 is really, really good getting up the field and getting after the passer, which you absolutely need in the NFL. So, again, kudos to the Saints for making this happen. That's a good addition, and it seems like everything's kind of working to plan for New Orleans right now. Still got some work to do at some spots, still potentially have some work to do at corner, still have some work to do at wide receiver, and maybe another veteran offensive lineman to make sure that you've got the requisite depth to deal with some injuries, and maybe another addition at linebacker. We'll see, but they've continued to address needs. They've done things that we have not seen them do in a very long time, so it's an exciting time to look at the black and gold here. No question about that. Our Wednesday show is brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools. I'll have Koki Riley coming up in 25 minutes. What was going on with Team USA in the World Baseball Classic? Not on the field, on the television, and in the press conference. And then at night, everybody's drunk. Who knows? We'll talk about it at the end of the hour when we come back. It's What If Wednesday. That's next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Boudreaux's Electrical Services. Boudreaux's Electrical Services. Some call it overplanning. At Boudreaux's Electrical, they call it foresight. You understand when you live in this part of the world that you're very, very likely to deal with power outages fairly frequently, more than we want, and they're such a nuisance. Whether it's that 2 hours in the afternoon for a summer storm, or it's a week because we had one of those tough hurricanes. Make sure that you don't lose power and that you've got that Generac home standby generator from the folks at Boudreaux's Electrical Services. Give them a call at 985-397-1562, 985-397-1562. If you go into Google and you type in Generac generator Baton Rouge, you're going to get some big box stores there. Choose Boudreaux's Electrical, the family-run, locally owned and operated Generac dealer here in South Louisiana. They've been doing it for 40 years. Shop local. Get the customer service that comes with it. They monitor and run maintenance on your generator to make sure it's ready to kick on when you need it most. It's Boudreaux's Electrical Services. They're 985-397-1562, or the new location in Gonzales, 225-300-9389. That's Boudreaux's Electrical Services.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools.
Kentucky leads LSU by 7. Just about 2.5 minutes to go in the opener in Nashville. 81-74 right now is the score. It's just not a very good defensive effort from the Tigers, but I don't know why I would expect anything different at this point. In fact, I didn't expect anything different at this point. We'll see if they can't get things moving in the right direction for the last 2.5 minutes. Max McKinnon at the line just knocked one down, so down to 6. If he can make this, which he probably will, it's right now 6. It'll be 5 if he can make this free throw. 5 with 2.5 minutes to go. They're in it. We'll see if they can get it done. Our Wednesday show is brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools. Reminder to text Joey Blanchard. Text the owner of the company. You're looking for a new pool, looking for an outdoor kitchen, looking to build your forever home. Any of those apply to you. Joey Blanchard needs to be the first person you send a text to. Do it at 225-252-7745. That's 225-252-7745. Joey is happy to do that. Look, if you call him right now, text him right now, you can get into that pool for the summer. It's still early March. It is warm out there. It's in the 80s today. But you understand that we can swim in this place until November. If you want to make that happen, contact Joey at 225-252-7745. It's Renaissance Homes and Pools. Your forever home, a new pool, or the outdoor kitchen, or all the above. Renaissance Homes and Pools. They bring you our Wednesday shows each and every week. All right, let's talk a little bit about a lot of things. What if Wednesday?
Time, space, reality. It's more than a linear path. Where a single choice can branch out into infinite realities. Follow me and ponder the question. What if?
All right, Hunt. So we have a what if from Adam.
Okay.
And he says, what if Myers gets a scholarship to play college baseball, but it's to Arkansas?
Fayetteville's a lovely town. They have a wonderful stadium and facility. We'll see if their program's any good in 14 years when he goes and Dave Van Horn's long gone. It'll bum me out big time. And I can't imagine. I can't imagine pulling for Arkansas to beat LSU. that seems impossible to me. I watched Terry Bisky put on Ohio State colors to watch Ohio State play LSU in a national championship game. Now, I wasn't around when he played at LSU, but his son Brian was on that Ohio State team. Happens all the time. I just can't imagine that. I'm certainly not doing the Woo Pig Suey thing. I don't even think I can put on the red shirt, but I can.
You can be at the games, though.
I can go.
Okay. So you're gonna wear neutral colors when you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so.
All right. What if the Saints drafted defensive end in the first round as opposed to receiver? Where would their priority be after the first round?
If they go defensive end in the first round, I would think they would go wide receiver pretty quickly after that, and then I think they've got to go offensive guard at somewhere in the middle rounds to try to. You try to hope that you try to hope that you hit on somebody to a better extent than Saul DeVary, some of these guys that they've used that have contributed but haven't necessarily been serviceable NFL players. But that's the kind of guy you're looking for. Not a starter day one, but a guy that when an injury happens, the Saints will not play 17 games with those 5 offensive linemen. They will not. So you got to have somebody ready to go behind them.
Most definitely.
So that's I think they've got to go there at some point. So those would be the 2 significant. I mean, corner is obviously a priority as well, but I think they're gonna have to sign a corner. I think. I just don't think you can go what you have right now. Kool-Aid, Quincy Riley, and a rookie.
Yeah, you can bring another young guy in there.
That ain't gonna get it. So they're gonna have to do something at corner.
Yeah, now I think about it. I guess your starting corner is a 3-year guy. 3-year guy in Riley's second year. So no, you kind of do need a veteran in that room. Now I think about it. That is a good point. So what if Will Wade does return? Is LSU competitive?
Yeah. He went to McNeese and won the league immediately twice and won a tournament game. He went to NC State, and they're going to make the tournament this year. I didn't see what they did against Pitt this morning. They were the first team out this morning. They played Pitt, and they were losing a little bit early, and they needed to win the game to feel great. I think even if they lose the game, they feel okay about where they are. But depending on how that game
won by
went.
10, 98 to 88.
They're in the tournament. It took like that. I mean, it takes no time whatsoever. I know NC State was really good 2 years ago. They were terrible last year, and he put them in the tournament. He's a good coach. Is he the best coach in college basketball? No. Probably not. He's not. But he steps in. He puts programs in place. He identifies talent. He gets the talent, and then he coaches them, and they win. They win everywhere he goes. Mm-hmm. And you can try to disparage his coaching record if you want to and suggest there's some sort of street ball, and I think that's kind of generally speaking, a lot of football fans that weren't happy with some losses. But if you hadn't noticed, LSU's a pretty difficult place to win in basketball.
Very.
And he did it every single year. Every year he won. So, yeah, LSU would probably be in the tournament next year if they held Will Wade. Probably.
So you consider Will Wade more of like a culture guy? He's the guy.
I mean, he's fanatical. He puts
Yeah.
in ridiculous practice things, and they chart everything, and they're fanatical about numbers and how many balls they get tipped and how much they win baseline out of bound plays by, and like he puts in systems and they win. Now his teams were different at LSU.
Yeah.
He had a team with Trenton Watford and Cam Thomas and Javonte Smart that nobody could stop. They just scored like crazy and they couldn't play defense. And then he came back the next year on that team that had Xavier Pinson as a point guard. And they weren't very good on offense at all, but they were great on defense. And they played that switching man-to-man, and it was tough on teams. And like he fielded really good offenses, really good defense. The one year he put it all together, they won the league, but he had kind of teams that did either or the rest of the time. But yeah, they would be competitive immediately if they hired him.
Easily. So what if we still had hoops with Hunt?
No one would listen. I would do it every morning, and no one would listen. That would be what happened. I got preliminary numbers on that, and it was never like a smashing box office success, but it's just something to keep me interested. I like basketball a ton. I appreciated very much the people that listened back when I did that, and obviously it was an exciting time for LSU basketball where they were making the tournament every year.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you at that point you didn't get to hear me say anything ever. If they're good at basketball, I promise you, I've got no problem talking 45 minutes of basketball a day in January if that's what we need to do. But no one's going to listen if I do that right now because they're terrible and they lose every time they go out. So they're the worst team in the SEC over the last 4 years. I don't know I'm not going to do a podcast on that. No one's going to listen.
It's kind of scary, the parallels that I'm covering the Pelicans, and it's just like, yeah, man, been doing it for the last 2 years and they stink. And I'm just like, yeah, this is just my life. This is my life. That's kind of crazy. All right, what if you could only have one fixing in your crawfish boil?
So I'm going flavor to eat here, not necessarily what it's going to add to the boil.
Okay.
I don't eat corn. I find corn to be disgusting.
Wow.
It has nothing to do with the crawfish bowl. I just don't like corn.
Okay.
I love potatoes. I love sausage.
Yeah.
But I'm probably going to go in this instance with sausage.
Yes.
It's just the best. Potato is great,
Yeah.
especially if I'm looking for something that's a little bit milder than the crawfish I'm eating. I go with the potato with the sauce to kind of cool things down for a second. But if you make me only have one, I got to go with the sausage.
Nah, the sausage is easily the runaway pick. If you pick corn, you're diabolical in the first place. The potato.
People love corn.
They do. No, I trust. I see people. Hey man, can I get your corn? Like, nah, yeah, you can have it, but I don't need it. I'm not a corn on the cob type of guy. Now, potatoes for sure, but easily sausage because it's just the crawfish and the sausage. It just rolls. It just rolls too much.
I made a mistake. This is not the restaurant's fault. This is my fault.
Okay.
I'm an idiot. I should have known much better. But there was a crawfish boil soup on the menu at a local restaurant.
Oh, Lord.
And I thought, that sounds awesome. I love crawfish boils. I love soup. Like, I'll take that. I didn't even look at the description. I just, got it. And it was just very, very corn forward. Like, there was so much corn in it, which makes sense. You put corn in crawfish, you put corn in soup, tortilla, and I did not enjoy it because it was just, I was just, eating around corn because I just don't like corn. So that was my fault. Good job in the execution of the soup by the restaurant. I got to know better. I don't like corn. Shouldn't have ordered it.
Was it still kind of tasty though, right?
It was okay.
Okay.
There was so much corn. By the time I got to the end of it, it was just a bunch of corn laying in the bowl. Yeah, that's what we're getting into.
All right, that's it for What If Wednesday.
All right, LSU trailing by 7 with 41 seconds to go. It's become abundantly clear that my eyes are shot. I've struggled mightily with that scoreboard. You could tell me that was 41.1 or 21.1, and I couldn't really argue.
Oh man, it's time to get some glasses. It's
What is
21. It's 21.
It's 21.1?
No, it's 21.1.
Oh, that's such a bummer. I thought it was 41.
Yeah, the fact you were saying 41, I'm like, no, it's time to get some glasses.
Yeah, I can't. Oh, now they kind of came into focus there a little bit. But yeah, the eyes are toast. I don't really notice it when I'm driving. I don't really notice it a little bit. My press box view at Tiger Stadium, I don't see the numbers quite as well. Most of the press do have binoculars up there. I've got the replay, and you get the stats and stuff, so I don't find. And plus, by the time you get to week 3, I know everybody out there anyway, so I can basically tell by the body language who
what they're wearing
is.
and all that. Yeah.
So it's not that big a deal, but you can certainly tell. So LSU season going to come to an end. They're down by 6 with less than 20 seconds to go. So I'm going to talk some basketball in hour number 2. We're 20 minutes away from getting to getting to Koki Riley. He met with Jay Johnson. Jay met with the media at noon earlier today, so we'll get to him a little bit later as well. And remind you about One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Vaughn and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. Safety is a big deal in the bathroom, especially as folks age. Look, if you worry about somebody in your life slipping and falling and want to try to mitigate that, you can do that with non-slip floors. You can put some guardrails in potentially slipping places. You can do a tub that's walk-in for comfort and safety. You can do a shower with a bench in it. Those are things that David Vaughn and his team at One Bath and Closets do all the time. And it may not be something you think of when I say bathroom renovation, but it may be something that could be necessary, could be important. So have that consultation with David. Just sit down with him and say, hey, looking to see what we can do here. And he's happy to do that for you. They've got financing options available as well. Take a look at their website for the great work and some of the reviews from their satisfied customers. It's One Bath and Closets. You can find them online at onebathandclosets.com. Just not a great game by Kentucky. I watched a lot of this game earlier today, and the Cats not good on defense. Really, it was close the entire game. LSU's playing without De'Don Thomas, without Jalen Reed, without Robert Miller, who was out for violation of team rules today. Like, incredibly shorthanded, and Kentucky still kind of battled. I still just don't believe Mark Pope is the dude for that job. And the worst thing I think he can do at Kentucky is like keep making the round of 32 or like squeak into a Sweet 16. Because at Kentucky, that's like LSU like winning a regional in baseball. Like, yeah, that's a good thing. It's an accomplishment, but you're really here to get into Omaha and win some games. Kentucky needs to be knocking on the door of Final Fours. They spent $20+ million on this roster. I just don't see it. I've watched them play a lot of basketball this year, and today wasn't even really any better. They scored a lot of points, but LSU's one of the worst defensive teams in the Power 5, so it is what it is there. And Robert Miller's their best defender who didn't play today, so it is what it is. We'll talk about basketball in hour number 2 with some big picture stuff as LSU season comes to an end. The Tigers trailing by 7 with about 15 seconds to go in Nashville. Step aside. When we come back, just in huge, like, I'm not huge on the World Baseball Classic. This story you can't bury. We got to talk about it. It's next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Check out a tour at Marucci. Speaking of baseball, the official bat of Major League Baseball is made right here in Baton Rouge at Marucci. It was 2 former big leaguers and their athletic trainer started making bats for some of the best players in the game in the backyard shed. And then fast forward 22 years later, and it's the official bat of Major League Baseball. Turn on the World Baseball Classic tonight. You'll see Marucci equipment all over the place. If you want a tour of where they make 1,200 of these bats a day, you want a tour to hear the story of how this became from a bit of a labor of love to the best of the best. Right here in Baton Rouge, you can do it. Go to MarucciSports.com/campus-tour, MarucciSports.com/campus-tour, and get a tour over there at Marucci. Every single ticket for the tour comes with a 20% discount in the Campus Tour store and in the Hitter's House. If you've got a youth baseball team, youth softball team, looking for something to do with them for a little team building, take them on by Marucci. Get those tickets at MarucciSports.com.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools.
Wednesday show is brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools, built by Renaissance.com, built by Renaissance.com. Also got to remind you about Swing Easy Golf Club in Baton Rouge, swingeasygcbr.com. This weekend is the Players' Championship from Ponte Vedra over there in Florida. Of course, the famous 17th Island Green. I'll be watching this weekend. You may be watching this weekend, but if you'd like to take on the course, you can do it at Swing Easy Golf Club. I've done it. TPC is one of the toughest courses on the PGA Tour year in and year out. You want to test yourself on that Pete Dye course, go to the simulator. Crank it up over at Swing Easy Golf Club. I promise you they got all the mulligans you need. All the mulligans you need. If you want to take on that famous Island Green 17th, you can do that as well. Hang out with your friends. Watch the golf on TV. Watch some basketball on TV. Watch some baseball on the TV. They got those right there. Crank up some tunes. They'll deliver you a bucket of beers. It's a great place to hang out or work on your game. You want to play TPC Sawgrass along with the pros this weekend, you can do it at Swing Easy Golf Club. They're online at swingeasygcbr.com, or, as I'd suggest you do, go check them out on Segan at Perkins. On Segan at Perkins at Swing Easy Golf Club in Baton Rouge. All right, World Baseball Classic's going on. I don't know if it's got the attention of a lot of folks or not a ton of folks, but certainly it's ongoing in Houston. And Mark DeRosa was plucked from the MLB Network to be Team USA's manager. And it's not just like a ragtag bunch of Team USA guys. This is Aaron Judge. This is Bryce Harper and Kyle Schwarber and Bobby Witt Jr. and Paul Skeens and Tarek Skubal and Alex Bregman. This is a who's who of American professional baseball. And they tasked DeRosa with being the manager of this team. Yesterday, he went on MLB Network to talk to his colleagues, and made just a ridiculous error. This was from about 26 hours ago, prior to USA's game against Italy, when USA had not advanced to the quarterfinal round. And this is what Mark DeRosa said on live television on the MLB Network entering yesterday's game with Italy.
Ton of respect for Italy. It's weird. We want to win. We want to win this game, even though our tickets punched to the quarterfinals, because Mexico plays Italy actually tomorrow. So the way the schedule lines up, this is an important game for us. Nolan McLean will start. He's on the bump and he's good to go. He's an absolute beast, and I expect him to throw the heck out of him.
So he says it's a weird game because we want to win even though our tickets punched the quarterfinals. That is wrong. They were 3-0, but there is a scenario where they would not move on. It involved losing to Italy. Oh, by the way, they lost to Italy, and they lost to Italy with some guys on the bench. You didn't have Bryce Harper out there. Bobby Witt did not play. Alex Bregman wasn't in the lineup. Now, look, Pete Crow Armstrong hit 2 homers, and Gunnar Henderson had a good game in Bregman's place, and he's a similar player. And, they started Nolan McLean, who's a heck of a pitcher, and Skeens wasn't going to pitch in this game. So it wasn't as if he sat everybody. But you put Paul Goldschmidt at first base. And he also said some guys are a little sluggish. And the implication, this is speculation, but I feel like it's probably pretty well sourced, that the guys, after they beat Mexico in Houston, had a little fun after that game and were dragging a little bit. And this is ridiculous. The manager of Team USA, it's not like he's designing a football offense here. You fill out the lineup card, you make some pitching changes, and oh, by the way, know the bracket rules. I cannot believe he didn't know the rules of the bracket. That seems impossible to me. So tonight, if Mexico beats Italy and scores 5 runs or less, USA's out. They're done. They're out. And they can't do anything about it. It's unfathomable to me that someone would take this position, coaching these guys on this stage, and doesn't know the rules, and then goes on national television and screws it up. And then he said after the game last night that he misspoke. Now, I don't think he misspoke. I think he misunderstood.
Yeah, how did he
misspeak? And then
misspeak?
spoke. And so this is one you just can't really recover from. The team, tonight, Italy may win, or Mexico may win 7-1, and then USA will get through. But it's one you can't live down. You clearly went out there and did not know the rules by which you were playing, and that's unconscionable. It's not like he has another gig. He's an MLB Network studio host.
Okay.
This is so easy. I need your focus for a week and a half. I need a week and a half. And I need you to know the rules on whether or not you're going to the next round based on the result of your game. Yeah. That is unfathomable to me that happened. It's not really, to me personally, that big a deal. I would like Team USA to win the World Baseball Classic. If they play Japan in the final, I'll probably watch it, assuming LSU's not playing or something. But, I don't have a big emotional investment in it. Still, I can't excuse this. You can't not know the rules.
Yeah, no, especially then go out and put your face all over it. But how can you say you misspoke? You didn't misspeak about anything you said. Like you said, you just didn't know what you were talking about.
He just misunderstood.
Literally, he didn't say not one time did he stutter or anything about that. No, you just clearly did not know the rules. And so, obviously, this guy's not going to do this again. But, shouldn't they go get a real manager? Or was this guy manager experience?
Does he want to be a manager? He's an Ivy League grad. He's incredibly well-spoken, incredibly smart, had a great major league career, played for the Cubs for some time. He's got credentials that would put him in a manager potential. But this is going to be black eye.
Oh, sure.
You're representing the organization, USA Baseball, and you just clearly don't know the rules.
That's nasty.
I want to reiterate, I don't believe anything he did last night from a lineup perspective, drastically cost Team USA the game. His not starting Bryce Harper allowed him to use Bryce Harper off the bench in a huge spot in the 8th inning where Bryce Harper was the tying run, which was an advantageous situation for Team USA to be in. Pete Armstrong, who's kind of been a reserve, had a big night last night. Hit a 3-run homer for him. Cub, did great. Like, Gunnar Henderson is as good a player as Alex Bregman. Yeah. He's younger and, like, dynamic, and that's not a guy he didn't do any. Nolan McLean's a precocious young pitcher that they put out there. Scoot Bull is done. He said, I'm pitching one game, I'm leaving. Yeah. Skeens just pitched 2 nights ago. So, like, he didn't do anything egregious. He didn't sit everybody or, like,
totally tried to lose the game or something.
Right, but it wasn't a good look that it sounds like the whole team was hungover from getting drunk after beating Mexico and the manager didn't know the rules. Yeah. It's hard to get people heavily invested in the World Baseball Classic when those two things happen back to back.
Yeah, and you know what? So tell me this, Hunt. Tell me this. If let's just say America wins it all, do people like forget about this? Do we just all right?
It'll be funny. It'll be an internet clip that lives on. But the players will have accomplished what they set out to do, and DeRosa will go back to his gig and probably have a laugh about it, or maybe take it seriously. I don't know. Maybe his agent says, "Hey, you need to take this really seriously if you want owners to call you about managing a team someday." But maybe he just wants to do TV. I don't know. But that's tough looks. We'll see. If Aaron Nola is on the bump tonight for Team Italy. USA needs Mexico to score runs, though. So if you're Team USA over Catholic High / LSU, you need Mexico to put up some runs this evening. That's it for hour number 1 here. We'll come back and talk some baseball with Koki Riley. LSU has been eliminated from the SEC tournament. Basketball talk in 20 minutes. It is a Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Fabry Chevrolet GMC. FabryChevrolet.com is the website. FabryChevrolet.com is the website. Start your process there. It's kind of where we live these days on the internet. Check out the inventory. All of it's there on FabryChevrolet.com, even the GMC side as well. You can see all of their new vehicles, all of their pre-owned vehicles. It is a massive inventory there on Highway 61 in St. Francisville. Once you've kind of looked around what they've got, what you might like, head on up to St. Francisville. See him. I told you all week that my wife and I made the drive up to St. Francisville to spend a weekend there for our 5th anniversary. It is a quick little drive from Baton Rouge. Certainly if you're in Point Capee Parish or the Felicianas, it's a quick drive over as well. And you know what you're going to get from the Fabry family start to finish. An amazing buying experience, wonderful customer service. They've been at it for 35 years, 3 locations, 5 brands. This is the newest right there on Highway 61 in St. Francisville. So start your buying experience online at FabryChevrolet.com. Check out that incredible inventory. Looking for Chevy Silverados or GMC Sierras, you will not find a better deal on trucks. It's FabryChevrolet.com.